how to install Kafka on Windows 10.
Hello, good morning all. Good morning everyone. Is it that I'm audible? Yes, please. One can unmute and reply me. One can
Yes, sir.
unmute.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, myself, Dr. Syed Niamatullah Hussain, Professor and Head of the Department, Computer Science, CCAB Institute of Engineering and Technology, Bijapur. So, this is our third online event. First, we conducted a webinar on cyber hygiene. Then, we had a faculty development program on data science and IoT. Then, this is the third one. It's a hands-on workshop on Apache Kafka in action. The name of the workshop is, it is for continuous 3 days. I request all the participants, because it's an hands-on actually, keep your laptop or your desktop with you and install whatever the software is instructed by the speaker or by the resource person. So just directly you can work on it, and definitely it will help you. This is one of the appealing technology in present trends or present world actually. Okay, I thank my speaker. First of all, I would like to thank my speaker, Mr. Shabbir Hassan from Taif University. He is a senior data consultant over there, and he has developed many applications. And also, I welcome all my participants, national, international, and all the research scholars who are pursuing their PhD and their MTech degrees. Okay. Now, I would like to request my colleague, Professor Zarina Madam, to give the introduction of today's speaker. Thank you. All of you, I request you all to mute your audio and video, please. Except the speaker, I request all the participants to mute your audio and video. Thank you.
Good morning to all. Productivity is never an accident. It is always the result of commitment to excellence, intelligent planning, and focused effort. I, Zarina, on behalf of Computer Science and Engineering Department, CCAB Institute of Engineering and Technology, take the privilege to welcome you all on 3 days online workshop, Hands-on Apache Kafka in Action, in association with Computer Society of India, CSI Student Chapter. Apache Kafka is an open source stream processing software platform developed by LinkedIn and donated to the Apache Software Foundation, written in Scala and Java. It aims to provide a unified, high throughput, low latency platform for handling real time data feeds. I take the privilege to welcome our principal, Dr. Syed Zakir Ali, head of the department, Dr. Syed Niamatullah Hussain, and our eminent speaker, Mr. Muhammad Shabir Hussain, senior data consultant, Taif University, Saudi Arabia. I also take the gratitude to welcome all the participants, national and international, that is, students, faculties, and research scholars. I welcome you all. I also take the privilege to introduce our today's keynote speaker, Mr. Mohammad Shabir Hassan. He is currently working with Code Campus and as a big data consultant since from June 2015, and also working in Taif University, Saudi Arabia in Information Technology Department as a lecturer and software architect. He has around more than 10 years of accomplished experience in IT telecom domain. Few of his accomplishments include successful built and engineered the first company's big data lake from scratch on big data Hadoop and Spark platform. He has also worked as a software architect on web-based analytical and reporting engine, worked with technologies like Deep, Django, Framework, Python, Jupyter. And his accomplishment include that he has received an appreciation letter for successful automation of end-to-end process of accreditation. he has also worked as in finance department in Bharti Airtel Limited, and here he has reduced the KPI report preparation from 3 days to only 10 to 15 seconds. So it's really an achievement. And few of his certification courses include Oracle 99 Database Certified Association as well as Professional, Red Hat Certified Technician, and Red Hat Certified Engineer. Sir, it's an honor to be part of this session. Over to you. Now I request you to start with the session. Dear participants, please mute your audio. It's really creating a lot of disturbance.
I request all the participants, please mute your audio and video. Is disturbing the speakers and others also. And also, please don't leave. Just log in and don't leave, because this course definitely it will give a lot of advantage for your future projects, for the research this thing. So please, yeah. So please, it's a disturbance. It's a disturbance from some of them because your audio is echoing. Please allow the speaker to speak. Please mute your audio. I request all the participants once again. It's over to you, Mr. Shabbir. You can start, please. Thank you.
Hello everyone, thank you very much to be online to discuss on Apache Kafka. As Apache Kafka in action itself says that today we are not going to discuss only, actually we will see the Apache Kafka in actions as well. So before starting Apache Kafka, we have to understand what was the problem. Why the engineer has created Apache Kafka. So image itself says here, we can see this image, these problems, that the problem was in the building a data pipeline and the data movement and data sharing with the downstream systems, and there was a problem to build the real-time applications. Today the data is growing very fast. We have big data. We have a lot of data sources. We have to integrate with the target systems, and we have to share the data from source to target. This was a big issue, and we have to create a new pipeline from source to target. If we have, let's say, the source one has to share this data with the 5 systems, and we have to prepare a separate data pipeline for every target systems. In this case, you can see the data pipeline preparing and managing is very difficult in this time to manage the data. Either it is in real time or in the batch processing, batch processing, or even for the real time application. If you want to build a real time application, so this was the biggest problem, biggest challenge for the engineers, that how to fix this problem. So engineer decided why not. Right now the diagram says that the source and the target is a completely coupled system, right? Directly there is a data pipeline between them, and every time the source is sharing the data with the target, directly the source has the responsibility to share the data with the target. The engineer had decided why not put something in between, so that the source will share the data between the middle system, and the middle system has the responsibility to share the data with the downstream system. So he has decided to, okay, let's try to put database in between source and the target system to solve this problem. When we put the database in between, either the RDBMS or NoSQL and any available messages systems that time. So there was some limitation that the database is not fault tolerant. The RDBMS I'm talking about is not fault tolerant, right? If the data, the source will write the data with the database, and data is the centralized system. If the system is down, the target will not get the data, and the source will not put the data to the database. It is not distributed, right? This is a standalone application, and this is that's why there is a high latency.
I think audio नहीं आ रहा है शायद, right? Check. मैं स्पीकर निकाली हूँ इसलिए I was asking whether it is coming. आ रहा है तो why is it not coming? Sir, why is it not clear? उनका प्रॉब्लम है. नहीं आप चेंज कर दो.
Distributed system means we have so many components and every component work on the different machines and all machines work together. If any one machine is failed, even though my system will be up and running, that means of the fault tolerance. And the another feature is horizontally scalable. It means if the data is high, right now we have a 5 system in the clusters, Kafka clusters, and the data is high now, and we can add any time this machine into the cluster to increase the power of our clusters. And of course, if you have a multiple of machines in the cluster working together, definitely it will be blazingly fast, right? It will process, it will pull the data fast, and of course there is a high availability, right? If the one server is down, even though the system will be available, target and source can push and pull the data, right? And we have mentioned that some use cases, but even though Kafka is used in everywhere, like telecom, healthcare, banking systems, right? So here for you can see here website activity tracking. Just we see if you visit any website. So when we visit any website and they start giving the similar type of ads, how they know that I am looking for something similar. So we can see the similar ads appearing. So they track our every activity on the website. Like log aggregation. Nowadays we have many servers working together or individual in the company, and we have to aggregate the logs for the operational purpose or for the business purpose. We need to analyze all those logs. We can use the Kafka there, even for the stream processing. Like let's an example, we have to analyze the tweets. We have to, just like an example, we have to analyze sentiments. And tweets is like a streaming events. Every time, every second, we have millions of tweets. So for this type of things, we can use an internet ID start from 0. So if we have a machine 1, machine 2, machine 3, we have a, like broker ID 0, broker ID 1, and broker ID 2. That machine is called itself a brokers, right? You can see here the Kafka cluster work with the Zookeeper servers. Zookeeper server basically is used to store all the metadata of the Kafka clusters. Kafka cluster cannot work without Zookeeper, and no need to worry about the Zookeeper installation because that comes with the Kafka. When we download, we will install the Kafka. You will see that Zookeeper is already there. So, but we need to, before starting the Kafka cluster, we need to start Zookeeper first. Zookeeper server is nothing but only this is a open source project which is used to manage the clusters. It is stored all the metadata about the Kafka clusters, right? Left hand side of the Kafka cluster, we see here the producers we have. Producer job is to read the data from the source data and push to the Kafka. That's it. And we could have a many type of sources system. Either it could be a file systems. Let's say our data is in on a particular location on shared by FTP, or we have a in directory somewhere, or we have to get the data from the Twitter, web crawling, or any RDBMS or any NoSQL, or it can read the data from any distributed file system or cloud-based storage. So producer can read the data from all the source system, any of the source system, and it can push back to the Kafka server, right? On the right hand side, we can see here the consumer. The consumer is an application actually which is used to read the data from the Kafka and push those data to the destination system. And this destination system could be of anything. Either it is your dashboard if you are analyzing the Twitter and you have to display directly on the dashboard, and if you have to put the data summary into the MySQL or any systems, any systems. Right, so consumer will help to read the data from the Kafka clusters and push data to the destination system. Here on the right top corner, you can see here the KIP 500. Actually, this complete Kafka was designed by engineer Sadr Lindin. That he designed that with the Zookeeper. There is a dependency of the Kafka cluster on the Zookeeper, right? It means your metadata is stored outside the Kafka. Now this KIP 500 project is going to replace this Zookeeper dependency. Now the Kafka cluster itself will be maintained by the Kafka. It means we will have a Kafka will manage the Kafka clusters. It means Kafka will store the metadata of the Kafka clusters as well. In coming maybe next years or in coming years this will replace. But right as of now we are going to use the Zookeeper server. Hope so far so good. Now let's understand some terminology here. Like Kafka producer, as we said, that it is an application. It is an application responsible to read the data from the source and write into the Kafka. Kafka consumer is also an application which is responsible to read the data from the Kafka and send to the target system. Now here brokers, as we know, right? A clusters is made of one or more machine, and this machine is called broker. That's it, right? If we have a multiple machine or one machines in the cluster, that machine is called the broker, right? And broker ID, each broker has a unique ID. That ID is called the broker ID. Just like in the diagram, I have given here 0. I have given the ID 0. By default, there is a configuration file. In that configuration file, the broker ID is 0. Right? A broker may have one or more topics. Let me understand the important. If you know the RDBMS, to store the data into any Oracle database or any RDBMS database, we need to create a table first to store the data. Similar topic is like similar that the data storage. Actually, topic we have to store the data. So first we have to create the topic, right? And brokers can have one, zero, or many topics. Right? Topic is the basic storage unit where message resides inside the Kafka. If you want to store the data, definitely we need to create the topic. And every topic has a unique name like table into any RDBMS. Just like in Oracle, we have to store the data, we create the table with the unique name. Right? Similarly, we have to create the topic with the unique name. Right? And how it works. So you can see, we can say here a topic is like a queue where message is coming from one end and read from the another end. It's like a queue. Now, inside the topic, once the data is written into the topic, it cannot be changed, right? If let's say already I put the data into the topic and now we want to modify something, we cannot do. If we want to modify, what will happen? An update can send as a new message to the topics. We cannot modify that. Actually, it will create. We can create the new message inside after some updations. Messages are stored in the order in which messages are sent to the topics. When any here, sometimes we will see here the word exchange word. Some people use data, some people use events, some people use messages. So we have to understand that we send the data record by record, transaction by transactions. Every individual transactions, every individual record. If we talk about database, every record is called to have message. If we have a data file in the file, we have 10,000 line into the file and we have to push those files to the Kafka. In that file, every line is called a message and it will send the data message one by one, every message to the Kafka, right? So message will be organized in the system as it arrives in the topics. It's in the same order. And topic can be partitioned to exploit the advantage of parallelism, just like we have a concept of partitioning in the table in the RDB image forward, just to select the data, right? To get the data fast. It's same concept here, so we can partition the topics there, and we can have multiple partitions like 100,000, 50,000 partitions based on our requirement. What is it in the LinkedIn? I forgot exactly the statistic. They have created more than 20,000 partitions over topic, right, to get that advantage of parallelism. Now we can see the topics are always multi-subscribers. It means when the data is inside the topics, producer put the data into the topic. Now on the other hand side, the consumer will read the data, right? So in that case, when the consumer is read the data, either the topic has 0 consumers, 1 consumer, or many more consumers who want to read the data. Now let's talk about some detail in partitionings. We know the basic concept of the partitioning, just like in the table we do the partitions. In the diagram we can see here one machines, right? The broker ID, the machine's ID, broker ID is 0 here, and we can say the partitions hold the message. You can see here in the topic 1 we have 3 partitions. We have
The audio is not clear.
0, partition 1, and partition 2, right? And every partition holds some data and a message. Then every message starts with the 0 ID. Right. A partitions, a topic can have n number of partitions. We can create many as per our requirement. We can create many partitions. Minimum number of partitions. Hello.
The audio is disturbing. It's not clear.
Okay.
Sir, unable to see the figures.
Now, could you hear me? Hello.
Yes, sir, audible.
Yeah. Shall we move now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we were talking about the topic partitioning. So partition, we can create a partition inside the topic, and every topic partition is store the message in a sequence as the message arrives. And topic have a minimum number of partition is 1. When we create the topic, minimum partition it will automatically create 1, either if we don't specify. Right? So number of partitions can be specified while creating a topic. When we will create a topic, that time I can specify the number, how many partitions we want. If we don't specify, by default it will create a topic with 1 partitions. Now there is a offset. Offset actually is nothing but only a sequence ID which is given as they arrive in a partition. When any message comes to the topics, it gives a unique ID, and that ID starts with the 0. As that the ID is local to the partition. That's why you can see in the diagram in the partition 0, the first ID starts with the 0. It means in the partition 0 we have 5 messages and every message has a unique ID, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. In the partitions 1 we have a 3 messages, and every message when the first time it will come, the offset ID will be given to that message.
Diagram is not visible.
Hello?
Sir,
Maybe there is
diagram is
some
not visible.
connectivity issue, but I can hear you. Now the voice is
It
clear.
is not shared on the Google Meet. It is only on YouTube.
Hello, could you hear me?
We cannot see the screen you share on Google Meet. It is appearing on YouTube only.
Okay, okay, okay.
I think for that you have to pin the presentation screen, not the video screen.
Now, could you see the screen?
No, sir.
Okay, let me
The
share
camera
again.
is appearing, not the screen.
Okay, okay, okay. Let me share again this.
For
I'm
that you
disconnecting.
have to pin the presentation screen. Just see in the left side, you'll see the presentation screen. Pin that, and you'll see it in the front.
Hello, everyone. Could you see the screen now?
Sir, it was same before, but again it's appearing same.
Now it's visible, sir. Thank
Now,
you.
now you can see it, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sure. Let's start. So we were discussing about the offset. Offset is nothing but only a sequence ID which is given to every message, right? And we know what is the message. Message is actually the record which is sent by the producer to the Kafka. As the message is arriving to the Kafka, it assigned a unique ID. That ID is called sequence ID. In that diagram, we can say inside topic 1, we have 5 messages in the partition 0, 3 messages in the partition 1, 2 messages in the partition 2. And when the first message comes, the offset ID is given 0. Always the offset ID is given 0 for the first message, and it goes on, right? And that offset ID is local for the partitions, right? So we understand now that if we want to identify a particular message, we need to understand 3 things. First, what is the topic name? Second, what is the partition number? And the third, what is the offset ID to locate a particular message. Hope you understand so far. Are you with me? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Let's move to the next slide. Multiplication. That is the important part of the distributed system. That's the reason our system is a fault tolerant and highly available. It means it will create a replica of the topic on multiple servers. Let's say I have a 2 brokers, broker 0 and the broker 1 in our clusters, Kafka clusters, right? So Kafka can replicate topics across available brokers in the Kafka clusters. If I have created, when we create the topic, that time I specify a replication factor. By default, the replication factor of a topic is 1. If you don't specify any replication factor while creating a topic, by default it will create only one on a one brokers, right? So let's say in these examples, I have created topic 1 with the replication factor 2 and the number of partition is 3. So you can see the topic 1 exactly replicated on the broker 1 as well. The same exactly. In this case, if the broker, any broker 0 is down, the data will be available from the broker 1. But to see the broker n, it means we have created with one replication factors with 2 partitions number. It means it will create only one copy on the broker 0. It will not replicate because the replication factor was 1. In case of the broker 0 will be down, then we cannot get the data from topic n. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Hello? So now here the another questions comes here that when the data is replicated on the multiple brokers, we have, let's say we have 10 brokers into the clusters, right? And the producer will write on a particular brokers. What about the other brokers? How that brokers will get those data? Then the concept comes of the leader and the followers. So who is the leader and who is the followers? Who will decide? Then the zookeeper will decide who is the leader of a topic, right? If the producer will write the data only to the leader topic on the leader machine. Who is the leader of the topic 1? Who is the leader of the topic 2? Or who is the leader of the partition 1 of topic 1? Right? The producer's job is to write data to the leader partitions only, right? And the rest, let's say in this case we have broker 0 and broker 1, right? So let's assume the zookeeper will decide that the for partition 0 of topic 1, the broker 0 is the leader. Then automatically the other broker will become followers, right? Producer will write the data to the broker 0 because he is the leader, and the follower will read the data from the leader. So you can see, I said the leader perform all the read and write responsibilities in the topic. Producers will write the data to the leader broker only. Consumer will read the data from the reader from reader broker only, right? And who will decide that who is the leader and who is the broker, who is the followers of a particular topic? Then the zookeeper will decide these things, right? How the leader will manage these things, the in-sync replica, that because when it will replicate, the data will be replicated on the another machines, right? It will take some time. So always the leader broker will be updated with the new data, but who is the follower broker, that follower will take some time, right? Maybe some followers updated 80% of data, some followers updated 90% of data, and some followers 100% of data, right? So who has exactly in sync with the leaders, the followers, then the leader maintain ISR list to check which follower has 100% data, right? Which is replicated 100% from the leader machines. Right. So here assume that the zookeeper select leaders for topic 1, partition 0 and partitions 1, right? So zookeeper selected broker 0 is the leader, broker 0 is the leader of partition 0 and partition 1 of topic 1, right? In this case, in this scenario, the producer will write the data on the broker 0. In this scenario, the broker 1 will be the followers and broker 1 will replicate the data from the leader. For topic 1, partitions 2, zookeeper decide broker 1 is the leader. It means broker decide the leader, zookeeper decide that for partitions 2, broker 1 is the leader. In this case, producer will write the data to the partitions 2 on the broker 1. In this case, broker zoo, partition 2, broker 0, partition 2 will become the followers, and now it will replicate the data from the leaders. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
I have a question here. So, why is this architecture is there, like a leader follower type of architecture is there?
leader follower star? That is a good question. Why? Because in the cluster, in the Kafka cluster, we have a multiple brokers are there, right? Multiple brokers. Producer is going to write the data. Then where the producer will write the data, right? If producer will start writing on all the machines, then producer will take a lot of time to write the data. That's why the Zookeeper decide, okay, the producer should not write the data on every machine in the cluster. Producer will write the data only on the leaders. Producer job is to hand over the data to the Kafka and let the other followers will decide when it will replicate the data, right? So internally, automatically, the followers and the another followers broker will start replicating the data. In that case, producer has not to wait to replicate the data on all machines. If the producer will wait, it will take time, right? And it will wait for the acknowledgement, right? So that the Zookeeper decide this leader and follower concept, that producer and the consumer should not wait to write the data on the all brokers. So producer should write the data on a leaders only, and later the follower will replicate those data. In the same way as consumer will read the data, if consumer want to read the data, Zookeeper will tell, okay, consumer, you have to read the data from a particular broker, that broker is the leader. Then consumer will read the data from a particular brokers, right? In that case, we have here load balancing as well. For some partitions, broker 0 is the leader. For some partition, broker 1 is the leader. So in this case, the load balancing is there. Understand the point now?
Yeah, correct.
Yes. Now here, so when the producer will send the data, right? Producer will keep sending the data to the Kafka. So how the producer will come to know that data is written to the leader or not? Data is written to the leader. Then it comes the acknowledgement, right? Acknowledgement is just like signals which sent by the broker to the producer that, okay, we have written the data, right? Now you send me the new data to the brokers, new data to me, right? So this is just acknowledgement sent by the brokers to the producer that I have written the data or I have not written the data. If the data is not, if the producer will not get the acknowledgement, then the producer will resend the data again to the leaders, right? So we have 3 options for that. This is very important for the producer. When we are going to write a producer application, then we have to know this acknowledgement parameters. So we have 3 options here, 0, 1, and all these values. Let's say if we put acknowledgement is equal to 0, right? So producer will not wait for an acknowledgement after clusters, whether the data is written or not. If we put the acknowledgement is 0, it means there is a high chances of data loss. It means producer will not wait the acknowledgement, broker will not send anything, and it will start pushing the data. In this case, producer will just push the data to the Kafka. In this case, producer will not care whether the data is written on the broker or not. So in this case, definitely the producer will work fast, right? Because of the network failure or something, maybe the data is not written on the Kafka, but in this case, the producer will keep sending the data to the topics, right? But it will be fast, but there is a high chance of data loss. Okay, what if we set 1? If we set 1, this setting is very good. That the producer will get the acknowledgement when the data is written on the leader only. As the data is written to the leaders, it will get the acknowledgement from the brokers. Yes, data is written on the leaders part, on the leaders. After that, the producer will send the next message, right? In this case, there is a partial data loss. Let's say the data is written to the leader machine, but it was taking some time to replicate on the other machines. And in between, because of some network failures or any other reason, the other followers was unable to replicate those data. In between, the broker 0 was down, the leader was down. In that case, we will lose the data. Our system will be high. Then we cannot get the data, right? Because we can lose the data because the data was on the leader 0 and the leader 0 was down and it was not replicated to the other machines, right? In that case, there is a chance of data loss. But the best option is here the acknowledgement equal to all. In this case, the producer will wait until the data is written on the leaders as well as replicated to the followers. When the data is completely written 100% copied on the followers part as well, then the producer will send the new data. Right. So it depends upon the project. If your project is very critical and if you don't want to miss any message, any record, then we will put like acknowledgement discuss all, just like in the banking systems. If we are doing some transactions or online retail shops. Right, every transaction is very important. We don't want to miss any transaction. Then we will set here all. Definitely, it will be slow down the system because a producer has to wait until the data is written on the leader or replicated to the all machines, all followers, right? But let's say if I have to analyze the data from the Twitter's, some from social media. In that, if we miss some data, then there is no problem. If the company accept okay, some loss is no problem, then we can put here acknowledgement is equal to 1. We can add. Now here we know the Zookeeper is like server manager which store metadata of the Kafka cluster. Without Zookeeper, Kafka cluster doesn't work. To start Kafka cluster, we need to run Zookeeper first, right? And Zookeeper has also responsibility to elect the leader of a partition topic. Who will be the leader? We have multiple machines in the clusters, right? So who will be the leader? So that the producer will write the data to the leader only, and the consumer will read the data from the leaders only. If one leader is down, then Zookeeper will elect another leader from the followers who has 100% data of the leader, right? So Zookeeper elect the leaders. If one leader is down, Zookeeper will elect another leaders, right? This Zookeeper can run in 2 modes, either in standalone and replicated mode. Definitely in the productions, we run the Zookeeper in the replicated mode. It means we will have the multiple Zookeepers instances, right? If the Zookeeper system is down, server is down, the problem that the whole system will not work, right? So Zookeeper is very important. Let's see some core API which is provided by the Apache Kafka, right? So basically the Kafka provides 4 API. The first is the producer API. Using this API, we can write our producer applications, right? Which will get the data from the source system and push data to the Kafka, right? And there is another API, consumer API. Using this API, we can write our consumer applications, which will read data from the Kafka and store into send back to the target system, right? And another API is the Stream API. We use this Stream API to design a Stream applications which we read the data from the Kafka and write the data to Kafka, right? Reading and writing both from the Kafka. Right. So in this case, if we are reading some data from the Kafka and we want to some transformations after data transformation, we want to write back to the Kafka so that another consumer can read my data. So in this case, if we have to do something like, so we will use the Stream API. Right, we can read the data from the Kafka and we can write back the updated data to the Kafka. Here we can use some Stream processing engine so that it will using with the Stream API we can push this data to the Spark even Spark processing engine if we are using to process the data. So we can plug and play any processing engine with the help of a Stream API. So that the processing we can take advantage of any high speed, just like today the Spark is a processing engine, it's very helpful, and it's an in-memory system which we can leverage here to build a real-time application system, right? Another one is a connector API. Connector API which allow to write a connector for export and import data. We know this is a big problem. Who has experience of working on RDBMS, either in Oracle or any others RDBMS, that data export import was a big problem, right? So they provide the API. Using this API, we can write our own connectors to read the data and to write the data. To read the data from the database and write into the Kafka, and to read the data from the Kafka and write into any other source destination system. So there are 2 types of connectors, the source connector and the sinks connectors. We can write source connector or we can write sinks connector. Source connector means this connector will read the data from the source and write into the Kafka. Sync connector means it will read the data from the Kafka and it will write the data on a particular destination's target system. Some connectors are freely available. You don't need to write any single line of code. You can just download that connectors, plug in some parameters, just configurations, and your data start moving from source to destination. So you can download those connectors from Confluent Hub, right? Some connectors are commercials, you can buy, or some is freely available, or if you want to download some connectors, you can search on Google directly, or you can search. Let's say I have to export the data from the MySQL or some other RDBMS, and we have to put those data into the Kafka. So we have ready-made connector available. We don't need to write any single line of code. Just we have to plug and play, and data will be start moving from RDBMS to Kafka clusters. Many you can check on the Confluent Hub. The connector is available. No need to write any single line of code. No. Hope so far so good. These things, right? We understand now what is the core APIs available in the Kafka, right? Hello.
So Stream API 8 is optional, or it is like, what are the mandatory and what are the optional?
Actually, Kafka provide all these features. It depends upon you which API you want to use. If you want to use only, if you want to design that application which is good for reading the data from source and writing into the Kafka cluster, definitely we use the producer API to write those applications to reading data from the source. If you want to write a consumer application, read the data from the Kafka. In the same way, the Stream API is like that. If our input and output both from the Kafka, if I have to read the data from the Kafka and write back to the Kafka, in that case we will use the Stream API. Otherwise, we don't want to use. It depends upon the requirement actually, what you want to do, which type of application you want. So these are the application is available. So anyone, it is not necessary to use all the API together, right? All the API, it depends upon the requirement, which API I have to use to write our applications. Understand?
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Now this much concept is enough to start installations and working on Kafka now. Now this is the installation style, right? Now we are going to install these things on our machines. So there is the three methods here for installations on any operating machines. Either we can download Apache Kafka from Apache website directly, and we can install it. Either we can download the Confluent community platforms, right? This Confluent is a company, right, created by those engineers who are working at the LinkedIn. They left the LinkedIn because they have designed that Kafka at the LinkedIn. Finally, they quit the job and they started the company, and they are providing the commercial platforms for the Kafka. And there is some community version, so we can download the community version, and it will help a lot to manage Kafka. Third option is we have a Docker image available. Somebody has created the Docker image for the Kafka. Even for the official Confluent has created the Docker image. We can download that Docker who is familiar with the Docker. Then for them, the Docker image is a good options to work on. For all these three type of installations method, prerequisite is Java 8. Java 8 must be installed on your machines. Either you want to install on Windows, you want to install on Ubuntu or Mac. Java 8 is mandatory for every operating systems, right? It means Java 8 should be installed on machines. Now let's see the installation on Ubuntu. Now I'm going to use the method one to install on the Ubuntu machines, and later we'll see how to install on the Windows as well. And actually the installation process is very simple. The same process we have to follow, right? You can see my command line. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Hello everyone.
Yeah, we can hear
Hello.
you.
Yes, yeah, sir, we can see, sir.
First install Java 8. Download Kafka and install it. Right. So first we'll install Java 8. Right. So we know either there is a many way to install Java 8. If you are a CLI, you like CLI, so you can run directly from the CLI. Or if you want to download directly from the Oracle website, and you can just click next, it will be installed on your machines, right?
Sir, please increase the size of those windows.
Sorry?
Please increase size of those windows. CMD and
Right now I'm going to show you on Ubuntu Linux. Later we'll show on the Windows as well. Right? Hello?
okay, sir.
Yeah. See here. From here you can how to install Java 8 on Ubuntu or this thing. So there is a way, there is a command. You can take this command, right? Update and apt-get install openjdk, that's it, and it will start installing Java, right? So these are the command you can see. This is the link. Select, right? After installation, we have what we have to do that we have to do here. Now we have to set Java home environmental variables. The same thing we have to do for the Kafka available Kafka, right? We have to set Kafka home variables, right? Once your installation is done, you have to write here, right, to check whether the Java is available or not. We'll check here Java version. Yeah, Java 8 is available here, right? Java 8 is available. If not available, then we will install using this command, right? Using command is available here. If you write this command, right, it will start, and if you run here, you will run this command because it's already installed, right? You can see the message or JDK 8 is already newest version installed on the machines, right? You have to run like this, right? Once the installation is done, we will check like this, right? Version, okay, Java is installed. Now we have to find out the path, on which path the Java has been installed. So we have a command to check the path. We'll check the Java path. It will show you the Java path. You can see here, yeah. This is the home directory of the Java, right? So what we'll do, like this, we will find the Java path, right? And we will create environmental variables now. So how we'll do, go to your home directory. Inside home directory, there is a one hidden file. So we have to open that one, .-rc file. This is the file where we create our environmental variable for home directory of Java. So any environmental variable we can create from here, right? Open this file, go to the end of this file, right? And you can see here I have how I created a Java home environmental variables. I copy that path here because my home directory is here. I found the path, I copy here, and I added this home directory into the path variable of the systems, right? If you don't write this one, your Kafka cannot get the Java 8 and it will give you through an error. It's very important. Similarly, you can see I have a Kafka home directory as well, right? So once you set the Java 8, right? So now Java is working on your machines. Now you have to install Apache Kafka. For installation of Apache Kafka, you can go to the Apache website here, right? And you can download any versions. So I have downloaded 2.4.0, this one, right? So it will download tarball here. You have to extract it on particular locations, and that's it. Installation is very easy, right? So already I have downloaded. Just click it; it will download on your machine, right? So this is the, let me write. This is the URL I downloaded directly. So I have downloaded somewhere here. Already you can see here, right? Kafka 2.11. Actually, this is the Scala version. The Kafka version is 2.4.0, right? I extracted this on the locations. Let's see that locations. Here. On the root, I have extracted, right? Once you extracted that Kafka, right, go to that Kafka folder, right? You will get a folder here, right? Once you have downloaded, you have extracted here, you need some configurations. You need now some configurations. So what we have to do, once done, the Kafka you have downloaded, next option, next step is to set the Kafka home directory, right? So where our Kafka, so this is the path because I have extracted here, just copy this path and set into the environmental variable. So my environmental variable, how to set? Go to the home directory, right? Open the -rc file here, edit mode, Shift D, press Shift G to go at the end of this file here. Go up, see here. I exported the Kafka home directory and I added that environmental variables into the path of the system. This is the way how to set the Kafka home directory. Right. Once the Kafka home directory is done, now the other some configuration we need to done, right? Now we have to do is create data folder to store your data, to store the Kafka information, to store the Zookeeper information. So we will create a data folder. You can create this folder anywhere. So usually for testing purpose, I create data here, data folder you can see, right? I created a data folder here to store our Kafka data. So let me remove this first. Now I have removed the data, right? Now I will create met MPIR data is there. I created the data directly. Go inside the data directly, and now you have to store all your data here. So it will store my Zookeeper data, it will store my Kafka data. So I will create another folder as well, mkdir Kafka 0. This directory will store. You can give any name, whatever the name you will want to give. I want to store Zookeeper data. I will create the Zookeeper folder here. Right? I created a folder, right? Now I have data, and inside I have two folders, one for the storing the data of the Kafka and another one to store the data of Zookeeper, right? Now we have to do some configurations, basic configurations. Here Zookeeper properties, right? This file, this is the file name, so you have to configure in this file. Zookeeper configurations, you can write here, right? Zookeeper configurations. So where you will get this file into configuration folder. This is the path inside your Kafka folder, there is a configuration, all your configuration file you will get here, right? You can see. So you have to open Zookeeper properties file and you have to do some configuration. So let's what I do. Let's see. Zookeeper here, nothing to do much. Just you have to set the path of the Zookeeper data folder where the Zookeeper should store the data. So my path is this because I have created a folder under my Kafka folder data. Inside data we have a Zookeeper folder. So this is the path, right, where the Zookeeper should store the data. And another important thing is the client port number. This is the default port number. You have to be very careful with this port number. If you don't know, then that would be a problem, right? You can change the port number, but I leave it like this. Like 2181 is the port number of the Zookeepers. That is enough. That is enough. Just what you have to do, you have to set the data directory of the Zookeeper. And right? And after that, now what you have to do, you have to start your Zookeeper now. Now Zookeeper server is done. It's very easy. Just set the directory path, right? Data directory path, right? So how to start the Zookeeper? Then we have a command Zookeeper server start, right? And we have to pass argument Zookeeper.property file as an argument, right? So you can see very carefully here because already I am in the configuration file. That's why I am not giving the full path of the Zookeeper property file. Sometimes there is a problem if you are somewhere else and you want to pass this file as an argument. So you have to give the full path. But because I am running this command inside the configuration file, so I am not giving the path here directly. I am running Zookeeper server start .sh. Now you can see the log here. This is very important log that the binding to the port number 2181. Your Zookeeper is running. Your Zookeeper is running. Now open another terminals. Now you have to run the Kafka cluster now, right? Now the another step. Kafka configurations, right? So I have server dot properties files. Inside the same path, right? You will see here we have files here. I have created server dot, by default you will get server dot properties file because I have created this server 0, 1, 2, right? Basically that dot will count when you will the first time you will extract, you will get only server dot properties. So you can create many Kafka server. If you want to run multiple broker on the same machine for testing, so what you will do, just you will create multiple property file like 0, 1 and 2. So let's say I want to run only one broker. So I created server 0.property. I copy this file I just copy this file here, right? I will open that server, this file. Let's see some important configurations here. The first thing there that the broker ID. If the broker ID is the when you will install the first time, only you will get the server.properties file. In that file, you will get the broker ID is 0, right? The first broker start with 0. You can put any number from 0 to 255, but all the broker must have the unique broker ID. And after that, the listeners here, you have to put the local host 9092 by default the port number, how the broker will listen, right? The same thing here, localhost 9092. If your system is running on the clusters, and then you have to write here the IP address of the machines. Because my cluster is running on one machine, same machine, I'm writing a localhost only, right? These two things, and let's come down and put the path of the log directory where the Kafka will store the data. So I had created the folder, right? Data/Kafka 0. I have to give the path. When the Kafka will run, it will store all the data in this directory. You can give any path. That's it. And one important configuration here. is zookeeper connections. How the Kafka cluster will communicate with the zookeeper. Because in my case, I have one machine and even the cluster will run on the same machine and the zookeeper also will run on the same machine. That's why I put here localhost and the default port number of the zookeeper is 2181. I already configured in the zookeeper.property file. The same thing you have to mention here, right? If your zookeeper is running on the separate machine, you have to give the IP of that machine and you have to give the port number of or whatever the port number you are using to run the zookeepers. Right? That's it. Just save this file. Now it is time to start server, right? Now you will run Kafka server start command to run your Kafka server. Now you have to pass that file where I have changed all the properties files, right? So I will pass here, then the server 0.property as an argument, right? That's it. Run this. Now you will see the last message here, information. The ID 0 is started. Your Kafka is working, right? You have started one brokers, and now here it is giving message ID is equal to 0 has been started. Your Kafka broker is already started now, right? And we have discussed in the slides that the zookeeper knows everything, what is going on. So let's ask the zookeeper that server is running or not. If server is running, then how many servers are running, right? So that configuration is done. Now, zookeeper server. I will use the zookeeper command, some command to get the information about my clusters. That how many clusters machine broker is running, and how many some these topics are not available on the brokers, right? So there is a command zookeepers shell, right? And then pass the IP address and the port number to connect with the zookeeper. So this IP address and the port number is the IP address of your zookeeper server. Because the zookeeper server is running on the same machine, that's why I'm putting the IP address at localhost and the port number is 2181. No. Let's ask the zookeepers, because zookeepers knows everything, right? So this is the command of the zookeepers, right? We'll get the information of so many things. We can get the information of admin and brokers. So I'm interested to get the information of brokers, right? So right here, brokers, right? Again, we have an option that what you want to know about the brokers, right? IDs, sequence ID or topics. I want to know the broker ID, how many brokers is running, right? So brokers IDs, right? Oh, only 0. One broker is running, but that broker ID is 0 of that brokers, right? So here I can see here the one broker is running. Let's see how many topics are available on that brokers, right? So brokers, topics, there is no topic because I have not created any topics yet so far, right? Let's see how to create a topic. So Kafka provides so many tools, right? Just like we have seen right now, how to start the server, how to start Kafka server, zookeeper server, and how to get the information from the zookeeper, right? So here to create the Kafka topic, I have a tool, right? Command Kafka topics, and you have to pass some arguments here to create the topic. So first argument, create, right? Where to create? You have to pass here where to create zookeeper. Zookeeper knows everything, right? So I'm asking, okay, ask to the zookeeper, and I will pass here zookeeper 2181 because zookeeper knows all the broker informations, right? So I'm passing the zookeeper informations, and then I will pass the what is the topic name? Topic name like test, right? Okay, how much partitions you want and how much replication factor you want. As we have only one broker, So by default already we have like replication factor is 1, right? So no need to write here, and I want to write here number of partitions. Okay, we want to specify, right? Partitions, how many partitions we want, right? So 3 partitions I want to create. That's it. Giving error, maybe I need to spell something. Replication factor. Oh, but yeah. So some replication factor. Replication factor 1. Right. I cannot give 2 or 3 because I have only one broker is running. If we give more than one right now, it will throw an error. Let's see the error first. I give the 2 here, right? Yeah, it is giving the error that the replication factor 2 is larger than the available brokers, because I am running only one broker, so it will not accept. How it will replicate on two machines? So that's why the server is running, only one server is running. So better to give only one replication factors. Yeah, topic is created. Right now, topic has been created. Right now, we will see how many topics we want to list, all the topics, right? So I have a command topics.sh -number list. Thus we have to change something here, better change. Topic list and pass the zookeeper parameters here, that it will get information from the zookeeper. Because zookeeper keep all the metadata of the clusters. So it will tell what are the available topics. Right? I have only one topics, right? And I want to know the detail of the test topics, that how many replicas and how many partitions of that topic. Right? So we have another command here, parameters describe, and which topic we have to describe. Just give the topic name, describe topic test. Now you can see here, right? The total replication factor is 1 because I have given 1. I have given the partition 3. That's why you can see it has created 3 partitions. The partition number 0, 1, and 2. And who is the leader? For all the partitions, broker 0 is the leader because only one broker is running. If we have a multiple brokers, it will give you 0, 1 or 0, 1, 2, whatever, right? We will see later this, we will understand this in the later session. So see here, the topic has been created, right? Now I'm going to write some data into the topic, right? Now system is running, I have created the topic. For the testing purpose, the Kafka provides one console producer to send the data to the Kafka. So we will use that testing tool to send the data. So this Kafka console producer, right here. Now produce data, and here is the parameter here, broker -list. Where to produce? So I'm telling this is the IP address and the port number of the broker is 9092 because we know this, because we have configured in the broker property file, server.properties file 9092, right? And give the topic name where you want to store the data. So I have created the test topic, right? I give the test topic name here. That's it. You will get this terminal like this, right? And you put hi, hello, how are you? Right? I'm sending the message to the test, right? No. This is the way how to produce the data for testing purpose. Now I want to consume this data, right? So we have a tool to consume this data, Kafka console consumer, right? Kafka console consumer, and I have to pass from where we have to consume. So here boot, we have to pass bootstrap server information from where we have to consume. Then we have to pass the broker information This is the broker information. If you have a multiple brokers, even though no need to write all the broker ID, IP, port number here, you can just give the one broker informations for one broker's IP address and the port number, right? And it will get, if data is available on the different machine, no problem, it will get the data from there as well, right? So I'm going to consume the data, right? From which topic? I'm telling consume the data from topic test, right? From beginnings, from beginning, because the data has been produced already, right? So I want to read those data from the beginning, from, yeah, you can see, you are getting the data, right? Now you can see, right, side by side. This is the consumer console. To read the data from the topic name is test. Let's just publish some data. Message 1, message 2, see. On the consumer side, you will see my consumer application is running and it is keep getting the message as I am publishing from producer side, right? We can see that I am sending the data using the tool Kafka Console Producer and we are receiving the data Kafka Console Consumer tools to read the data, right? This tool is just for the testing purpose. Yes, my system is running, right? In production, actually for the real project, we have to write our own producer and we have to write our own consumers using that producer API and the consumer API, right? Okay, that's done. Now we will see let's start another server, right? I have see already producers, I see the consumer, how it is working, it is working perfectly, right? What you see how it is independent, that right now I have started only one consumer, right? I can start multiple consumer. If the multiple consumer application is ready to get the same data, then no problems, I can get the same data, right? So you can start your another consumers, right? For the same consumer with app server localhost 9092 from which topic? Test topic from the beginning, right? Now this I have a two consumers application is running together and whatever I will send message from here, both will get. See how easy to sharing data, right? Once the data is written to the Kafka, you can add multiple consumers at the same time and they want the same data. So it can, the Kafka is able to share the data, right, in real time. Like we have a, let's say we have a 10 producers or maybe 100 consumers, no problem at all. In the numbers, how many producers, number of producers, number of consumers are running is not a matter for the Kafka clusters. Hope you understand this thing. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, you're audible.
Hope that much is enough for these sessions, and we will see now on the Windows in 5 minutes how to install on Windows. The similar, right? This much is enough for the as of now for the Linux machines. Now we'll see on Windows now, right? So I have Windows machines here. I remotely connected, right? So let me connect. Should be. This is my Windows machine, right? Same process we have to follow here as well. That install Java 8 and install Kafka. Just we have to download. So I downloaded and extracted here. You can see my Kafka, right? Kafka folder, right? I have created exactly the same data, right? Here, right? I will create here folder Zookeeper, and I want to run here one broker. I'll see multiple broker as well in tomorrow, inshallah. So we have created the folders here. I extracted, you know the process, right? Download Java 8, download Kafka, unzip on a particular locations. So I have unzip here. After that, set the environmental variables, right? So now I will show you how to set the environmental variables here on the Windows. Right. Advanced system settings, environmental variables, set here environmental variables. Okay. So I have set environmental variables. Yeah, see here. Java home I have set here, right? For the Java home directory. After the Kafka home directory, here Kafka home, and give the path where you have extracted your Kafka, right? And once you have created your home inventory variables, right, add into the path variables. So here I have added, right, that the bin like Kafka and slash bin, because all our tools inside the bin. This is the way. And for the Windows, very interesting thing that I'll tell you. In the bin directory, this sh command works on the Linux or Ubuntu systems, right? For Windows systems, all our bash file is here, right, inside the Windows folder. So that's why I set this path, right? You will see here that the Kafka home slash bin slash Windows. It is very important. If you don't do this thing, your command will not run. Otherwise, you have to come inside this folder. You have to run the command, right? That's the reason I set, right? So I added this complete path into path variables, right? This is the way how to set the path. Once the path is done, create your go to the terminal. Go to the terminals here, right? The same thing you have to do. You have to start Zookeeper, right? So do some configuration for the Zookeeper. Go to the CD configurations folder, right? From here better. Open that Zookeeper file, right? Here add your directory where you want to store the data. So I created data folder and I created a Zookeeper folder, right? Let the port number default here 2181. Right, just two things we have to mention this thing, right? We have to mention here. Once you done, right, you have to run Zookeeper server start and then pass the parameter file. Yeah, your server is already binded to the port number 2181. Now, right, you are done. Right. Now we have to start our clusters. Right. The same thing you have to do. Go here and change. I copy actually server properties. I created 0, 1, 2 because I want to run multiple brokers on the same machines. Right. So I copy here. Open. I will just configure only one here. So broker ID is 0. I set. And I put here local with the similar way, the same what I did we did in the Linux machine. Here is the path I set, right? Here is the Zookeeper informations I have given, right? Same things, right? Just run here. Kafka server start and then path server 0.properties file. If you don't want to create, you don't need to create actually. We have to create only if you want to run multiple brokers. That's why I have created. I want to run 4 brokers on the same machine. So we can run on 4 brokers, right? So only one server properties file is enough to start with the 1 brokers. So I'm using this property file. You can use this one, any one. Let's delete if you don't want. Right. This is extra. Right. So I copy the server.property file as the server. I can 0.properties file. I configure it and I run this command. Now see some actually. Okay, because we have installed, we have run before, so we have to check. So many log files are there. So we have to remove because there is inconsistency there, so better I will extract it, the new one. Remove the old one first. Let me terminate my Zookeeper here. Because this is my old, I have run on the cluster. Okay, no problems. I can now do it. I will extract it on the D drive. Right. In that, I will create the data folder. The data folder you can create anywhere where you want. Kafka 0, but for my Zookeeper, right, I have created this. After that, we have to configure the property file. So open that one, set this path. Set this path to 181. Where is the path? Data. Zookeeper. Now Zookeeper is done. So we can run here. Start. Here. Zookeeper server start. Zookeeper dot properties. Now Zookeeper is running. Now I have to run the Kafka servers. This is the configuration file server.properties, right? I have to set the path, right? So I will put it here. Localhost. This is the path, right? Kafka, and I have extracted on file. And here is Zookeeper 2181. Localhost. That's it. Yeah, I have this. Let me try. Already we have set. Yeah. Maybe we have our path is wrong here. Yeah, now that there was some path issue. Right? Now your server is running here. Right? So this is the way how to start the server and how to start the Zookeeper. In the same way you can publish, you can see whatever the command I have run, the same command you can run here. The same command you can run here. And Zookeeper shell, you have to pass your localhost 2181 the port number to get the detail of the brokers, right? ls broker side is only one is running brokers, right? So different terminal we can open and you can do something, right? If you want to create topics here, Kafka topics hyphen create hyphen Zookeeper server localhost 2181. The topic name is test. Right? Replication factor is 1. Hyphen partitions is 3 or 4, whatever you want. Partitions. Clearly given now parameters here. The broker server is running. The port number is very 9092. This is very important. Created, right? Now you want to see Kafka topics hyphen list staff server localhost 9092. Yeah, it is showing me the test. Our if you want to produce data, Kafka console producer hyphen broker list localhost 9092 hyphen test hyphen topic and the topic name. Yeah, then I can produce like this, right? I'm going to consume Kafka console consumer hyphen go to staff server, give the server IP address broker 9092, the broker port number, and then topic name test, and then from beginning. You can see getting the data and the consumer console is getting the data, right? So hope this you understand this today to this lesson. We will see later how to run multiple brokers on the same machine. So hopefully we'll see all this tomorrow. Hope this bring this lesson to the end of this sessions. Thank you very much. Hope everybody understand today's lesson. Hello?
Yeah, I think it's a good session. We got an idea, or as well as we look forward for doing the installation thing now, so that we will be geared up for tomorrow.
Yeah, we can stop the share.
Tomorrow once again we'll log in, same time.
So, hello? हेलो तो ये क्लियर आ रहा है ना